Hey guys, my name is Alana Torres, and I'm giving a review of Django Unchained. The D is silent, so don't walk around saying Django. You're going to seem kind of silly. But I just wanted to talk about a few things in regards to this film. I think Quentin Tarantino is an excellent filmmaker. This is one of my favorite films now, along with Inglourious Basterds and Death Proof, also by Quentin Tarantino. Some people will argue that his stories aren't always necessarily original at all, but I think he's a very compelling storyteller. Um, and even if they're not his original stories, he certainly makes them very entertaining, and he makes excellent movies. That being said, he's an excellent filmmaker. Now, a few things are really important to talk about. Audience is important to talk about. This film is clearly geared toward African Americans, or sympathizers of civil rights, probably. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a very interesting slave owner who is his character is so you can see the entitlement seething off of him. It's quite incredible, but his anger is also very convincing, and probably the most convincing anger I think out of a lot I've seen in films recently. Um, so audience is important. I saw the film on Christmas Day, and that theater was packed, full of African Americans, and I don't know that that is something that happens very often, especially for action films. Action films don't tend to be geared toward, just the African American community, or if they are, or I mean any action film, uh, a lot of them, if there are black characters, probably tend to be, villainized or something like that. This has a protagonist who is black and getting revenge for slavery, which is an interesting concept. Quentin also did this with Inglourious Basterds, where Jews got revenge on Hitler, and the SS, the Third Reich, um, by burning them all in the theater. But that film, I think, also had a theme about history and, you know, the stories that we are told through history. And I think his point there was that the winner tells the story, because you don't know that the Jews actually killed Hitler, or that they were responsible mostly for what happened in the theater. But the Americans get to take the credit at the end for having executed the entire plot. I think that's a very interesting idea. And certainly a woman at that time and an African American man were not going to be given credit for something like that. But they couldn't anyway, they died. But I think that that was a strong theme in that film. Also fame and, your reputation preceding you, these kinds of ideas of, stories and fame and history and who is famous in history and why, stuff like that. So I think he's very smart, and he's also not beating you over the head with these issues by saying it. I'm sorry, words are escaping me right now, but he's not, he allows the viewer to experience the themes that he is exploring, rather than just having characters go back and forth and talking about these issues with bad writing, something like that. But I think you see in this film some of the paradoxes of intimacy that happened during slavery. How can you expect somebody to clean up after you, touch your plates, serve you your food, even have sex with you, and expect it to do that? And yet you can repulse them and hold them down below yourself and others, but you'll have them, again, make your food, care for your children, sometimes be responsible for your children, and you're going to trust black people who are, again, being lowered down to this certain status. And still, slavery, the kind of mindset that came from slavery, obviously has not gone away. We still have a lot of issues of racism in this country, and so it's important for a film like this to be made, because African Americans have been held down so much by slavery still, since 400 years ago, since, stereotypes still exist. On average, black people get arrested more often. The attitude of racism is still so persistent, but it comes from slavery and how we treated African Americans in this country and other races and things like that. But again, it's extremely important for African Americans to have a film like this, and I think it's important for women to have a film like Death Proof, where women get the revenge on the asshole guy at the end. It's important for these groups who are constantly being pushed down and told that they're inferior to have some heroes. It's really important. I hope that a lot of people go see Django. I hope there's a lot of conversations that come up over race in this country still. And again, why did he even make the film? I think a lot of the themes still ring true. But he was also analyzing, just the things that didn't make sense in slavery. You had Jamie Foxx, who plays Django, is a free man for the majority of the film, and having to explain that time and time again is something that is comical in the film, because people don't understand how to treat a black man who's riding a horse and is a free man when everyone else isn't. And white people didn't know how to treat him, and black people have a hard time figuring out how to treat him. It's a very good sociological frame of the complexities of race and status and the meaning in race. Because a black slave is not the same as a free black person in the United States during slavery. That free black person, though, will never be a white person, and a woman will never be equivalent to a black man who's free. So there's just all these different, it's just very complicated. The social structure was extremely complicated, and I think that that was one of the things being highlighted a lot in this film. And it's important, again, I just think it's really important for African Americans to have a film like this. Inglourious Basterds too, the themes that were brought up in that film. Having the African American who helps burn down the theater and he actually sets it on fire is a very interesting part of that film too. Quentin Tarantino does a lot of very interesting things with race and status, but he makes it entertaining. He makes it fun to watch, and I hope you guys do, and keep the conversation going about racism, prejudice in this country. Let's see what happens.